Student loan defaults have surged to the highest rate or level in nearly 2 decades. And that has a terrible impact on the economy that I don't think most people are really thinking about right now. Just to give you some numbers, and this is according to the Department of Education, 1 in 10 recent borrowers defaulted on their federal student loans within the first 2 years, and that's the highest default rate since 1995. Now, that's not even taking into consideration the number of people or number of students that have been delinquent past 90 days. I mean, when you go to that, the number is much higher. They're just looking at people that haven't been able to pay in 2 years. So these are people that can't buy a car, can't buy a house. This is a huge population of people that are unable to give back to the economy and to society, financially speaking, because they have this massive amount of debt that they just cannot pay off and cannot get rid of under bankruptcy.
Look, it's interesting because I saw a billboard today about how education is the answer to for opportunity and hope and all that stuff. And that's something that I've been I was told as I was growing up, and I really firmly believe it, and I believe it to this day. But we've gotten to a point where it's so expensive that it might not actually be efficient. It might not be the effective way to go about things. But then what is the answer? You see what I'm saying?
The answer,
so we're stuck. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You don't get an education, you're screwed. You get an education, you're screwed because of how much it costs.
Yeah, and the return of higher education is much lower now than it was back in the day. If you look at the graphic comparing, how much money college graduates make now compared to, back in the day before they were taking on these huge debts, median weekly wages for holders of bachelor degrees have fallen 4.8% over the past 10 years alone. Weekly paychecks for all college degree holders over the age of 25 are down 3%. And one time we had this debate about underemployment, and underemployment is a real problem because people will get these very expensive degrees. They'll go to graduate school, they'll get a graduate degree, and then when they graduate, they can't find a job in their field. And oftentimes they'll end up working for something that doesn't even need any type of education. You just need a high school diploma.
So you're getting squeezed on both sides. Your loan amount is going up significantly, your debt is going up, and your wages are going down. So now, on the other hand, like I said, what choice do you have? You don't get an education, then you can't get the better jobs. So damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, the reality is everyone has a right to an education. I believe that 100%. So if you make the decision to not be an entrepreneur, because some people do make it, it's a very tiny fraction of society that can make it without a college degree. They can go off and be an entrepreneur, create a business, and they'll do fine. But if someone wants to get an education, it should be accessible to them. There was a point in this country where it was accessible and it did pay off. People did make a significant amount of money if they had an education. Now that's not even a reality for so many people. And you have people that are depending on the sex industry or sugar daddies or sugar mamas to pay for their education. It's ridiculous that we're doing that in this so-called first world country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and education was supposed to be our way out. But now there is, for so many people, no way out. And then they're saddled with the debts for the rest of their life. They can't ever get rid of them. So they've taken the one thing that was supposed to be our bridge to a better future and made it into a trap for a lot of people. So it's just a really hard place that Americans have been put in. The whole point of education was an opportunity to do better, right? And that's why I think Anna's definitely right. How you structure it is a different question. But
you can stop defunding it to start. How about that?
So I hear you on that. But my point is some degree of education that's affordable or free so that you have an opportunity to contribute to society, to make society better, to make society more productive, et cetera. We got to do that. Otherwise, we're burning our own future down.